Did you know that there are rivers in the sky? Wait, what? Yeah, well, basically, there's these narrow bands of concentrated water vapor in the atmosphere that transport moisture from the tropics and subtropics to mid-latitudes. They look something like this. Now, this image shows total atmospheric water vapor content from early January of 2023, with this dark blue structure forming essentially a river of water vapor. These rivers play a huge role in determining mid-latitude weather conditions, especially in the winter. Of course, these aren't the typical bodies of water that you know. These rivers are different. They're very aptly called atmospheric rivers, or ARs for short. Let's talk about them. Hi, my name is Ryan, and I'm part of the DIYnamics team here at UCLA. Speaking of LA, the city of Los Angeles sits around 34 degrees north latitude, occasionally experiencing effects of atmospheric rivers that carry moisture, which often comes from Hawaii. For a city that's known for its year-round sunshine, LA has some winter seasons where we see more precipitation than others, and that's often due to ARs. Here's how they work. During the winter, and let's look at the northern hemisphere here, huge storms from the Arctic push large amounts of cold, dry air towards the tropics and subtropics. There's a fast flow circulating around the periphery of these storms, and when the warm, moist air comes into contact with this edge flow, it gets carried along with it. The storm wraps the warm, moisture-laden air around its rim, so to speak, typically transporting it westwards and to higher latitude. When a big winter storm approaches Hawaii, we can see how moisture from there tends to hit the US West Coast. And, of course, there are plenty of similar examples worldwide, with atmospheric rivers forming across the planet in their respective winter seasons. We can actually simulate atmospheric rivers in the lab with an experimental setup that uses something I'm pretty sure everyone has seen or probably even used before. Oh. Legos? Well, Legos and a few other things. With a rotating table, a tank, a beaker or a can, ice, water, a Lego motor that looks something like this to rotate the entire system. Now let this spin up a bit until all of the water is rotating at the same speed as the tank. And then finally, adding food coloring, some blue, and some red. We have a top-down view model of the Earth, with cold polar air, as marked in blue, and warm equatorial air, as marked in red. Let's go check out these rivers. In another run of the setup, we see exactly what I mentioned before. Cold air from the North Pole comes down to meet the warm air. When they meet, the warm air gets carried around the rim of the storm, which makes these right here. Those are our atmospheric rivers. Let's zoom into this AR and rotate it to get a better look. Let's also slow it down to study the components at play. We can really see the warm, moist air being carried around the cold storm, forming the atmospheric river. For reference, here's an image showing satellite data of atmospheric water vapor content from January 4th, 2023. This curved green structure is a massive AR that drenched much of the US West Coast. For a more global view, here's that same water vapor data replotted with a different color scheme. Now, to compare this to our experiment, let's overlay this image atop our experimental video. One more time. Let's go a bit slower. Because the experiment replicates the atmosphere's leading order dynamics, the movie serves as an analog for AR formation. The red subtropical fluid is drawn around the blue storm, forming a curved filament, like the atmospheric river seen in satellite imagery. Now, what I love about these tabletop experiments is that we're able to take some simple lab equipment, or really household equipment, as well as some childhood toys, and create a scale model of a planet's atmospheric dynamics. We're able to learn about global scale processes in the classroom, as we can now fit the entire atmosphere on our desks, and I think that's pretty cool. As always, a huge shout out to everyone over here for making this video possible. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.